If you're just starting, right, and you want to go, you're doing some side work here and there, and you have your handful of customers, but you're not ready to dip in, you have to go find somebody who's done what you've done. Like, go find somebody who started a one-truck shop, who took 3-4 years before they started their business, and talk to them. There's always somebody who's done what you're trying to do, and be confident to repurpose stuff.
Welcome back to the Days End Podcast. We are here with Levi from High Five. We have plumbing, heating, air, electric, all in, man. So we are excited for this one. He has grown a ton over the last 5 to 6 years, and we're going to dive in to see how he did it, what he's done, and some of the challenges along the way. So here we go. Welcome, Levi.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited. This has been on my calendar for a while, so excited to talk with you guys and chat a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, man, I want to start it off. So I know when we were talking kind of back and forth, I think it was 2017, you were right around the 1.4, 1.5 mil.
Yep.
And then we're here 2024 just ending and hitting. Did you end at around 14 million, what you were thinking?
We did. We ended up doing 14.2 million this year. So it was definitely a growth year. So we ended 2023 at 8.3 and 2024 at 14.2. So it's just about 70% growth.
70%. Okay. All right. We got to break this down just a little bit. What? That's insane. What was the differentiating factor to come from 8 to go from 7 to 8 figures?
Right. So ultimately, we were a plumbing only company for our entire start from 2012 till the beginning of 2024. We were plumbing only. We really had no desire to add the other trades. It was in the vision. We wanted to do it, but it was never really a push because we knew there was a lot of market share in plumbing we still needed to get. Right. So we set a goal at the beginning of this year was for our plumbing division to grow by at least 29%, right? We did 8.3 as a plumbing only company, and we wanted to do like 10.1 as a plumbing only company in 2024. And so as our plumbing division only still hit that. Our plumbing division scaled by 29%. We did hit the 10 million in the plumbing only. But the biggest thing is we did add HVAC and electrical. Now, the reason why we were to hit the ground running with these brand new divisions we started, right? We started HVAC in May was our first full month we ran, and HVAC did just about 2.5 million in revenue from May till the end of the year. And because our HVAC was doing so well, we were keeping our third party electrical companies like crazy busy. They couldn't keep up with our demand. So then we decided to start to bring on electrical sooner than we would expect. But our electrical finished at just under $1 million for the year. And we didn't start that till August. And so because our plumbing was so dialed in, right, we were pretty much a $10 million a year plumbing company. Our systems, our processes were able to just transfer over to where there was no gray area, right? Our HVAC and our electricians came in and just hit the ground running. And so we do have a pretty big goals for 2025, but yeah, we expect some big things this year as well.
Man, that's awesome. And so, and just as a caveat here, like this is not like you didn't grow by acquisition, right? You grew like from ground up, right? So that's amazing in itself. That's crazy. Awesome growth, by the way, and congratulations on that as well, because that is a major feat to go from 8 to 9 figures. I mean, from 7 to 8 figures in really that short amount of time, just in the latter half of 2024. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, like I said, we had a good run. We had a lot of good key people, right? Like your team has to be your main focus, right? Our mission here at High Five, our mission statement actually that we put on the walls everywhere is to come together as more than individuals to create a positive impact with our team, clients, and community, one high five at a time. But the key to that is your team is number one, right? Like if you can't make an impact with your team, and so we put a lot of time and energy into making sure that our team are the best there are. And that's really how we've focused our growth and we're able to hit that 14 million goal we set.
What were those key hires?
So really like I said, the beginning of 2024, We had no real I planned to start the other trades yet, right? But then
Mm-hmm.
around February of 2024, I got a call from a gentleman that now runs my HVAC division. And he was a guy I liked, I looked up to. I thought he did a great job at the existing company he was at. And I had a relationship with him, and he called me and said, "Hey, man, like I'm either going to leave this company and start my own thing, or you can start HVAC and I'll come and run it." And so I kind of didn't want to lose the person, right? I wanted the
Mm-hmm.
person, and so I said, "Let's get HVAC going," right? So that was a key hire. I knew he was a top operator in the HVAC industry. So I was excited to bring him on, and he just got the division going. And it was very similar to the electrical as well, right? I knew an electrician that was ran one of the best electrical service companies I had known. He got electricians to produce more than I'd ever seen. He sold that business a couple years ago, and it just lined up to where his no compete ended right around the time we were looking to start it. So it was once again like it was the right who. And so by getting those right who's for those divisions, it now allows me to not have to feel like I have to be an electrician or an HVAC person because I'm a plumber, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so to have the right people building those divisions has really made it to where it's allowed us to grow like we have.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, two key hires, right time, right place. They just happen to be leaving, not compete. This is kind of where we are right now, and they're running those divisions. You don't have to feel like you're wearing 15,000 different hats, doing something that's not your lane of genius, and so you're able to stay in your lane, build the plumbing, while your other individuals or your key hires are able to build the other divisions. What is your current employee count?
So we're currently at 74 employees.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, and I honestly don't even build the plumbing division. I got plumbing managers. I'm a true CEO now at this point.
Fantastic.
We got a COO in place that runs the day-to-day operation. I have a CFO in place that runs all the financial side of things. So I really am. This is like my first year of focusing on growth, vision, moving the company in a positive direction. So really excited for this year.
Oh man, that's fantastic. That's such a really good place to be in. And to be completely honest, right, it's like when you start a business, that's what you set out to be, right? To be able to be that visionary, to bring people into your world and say, hey, this is what we're building. Let's build it together. And so it's really cool to see that this is where you are. This is that first year for you too. So, and congrats on that, because that is a huge accomplishment as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, we're at 74 people. Our growth plan, we're expecting to be probably over 100 by the end of the year. So definitely really cool to see all these people coming into High Five.
Oh, fantastic.
I've got a question for you. The premise of this podcast has quickly dove into the history and background of a lot of different entrepreneurs and founders, CEOs. I mean, you name it, just a wider range or array of business individuals specifically. I'm curious from the perspective of, and not to come across shrewd, but why plumbing? How did this start? Is it a family business? Did you just have like an aha moment? Hey, I could do this better. Dive us into really almost who Levi is and kind of how this even originated as an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, second generation plumber. My dad was a plumber. I grew up in the plumbing industry. I really worked with my dad and in his company most of my career. To the point where I didn't run the business, but I ran all the day-to-day, right? Invoicing, estimating, did all of that. So, that was in Southern Colorado. And it wasn't until I was about 27, 28 years old, about 2010. I decided to move out of the small rural area of Colorado up to Denver metro area. And I moved up to Denver metro area, and I started working for one of the most progressive companies in the country at the time. They were massive, doing over, 50 million a year at the time. And I quickly became one of their top producing technicians. And so I worked with them, and I was doing that. And have either one of you ever done multi-level marketing or network marketing?
Yes.
Okay, well, I got introduced to that for the first time ever, and I loved it because it showed a different route to getting somewhere other than just plumbing, right? And so I started doing network marketing, and I started to actually get success at it. I started to make some money. So I was working for this very great company as a plumber, and I was doing network marketing on the side and making some money. And the time came where I needed a weekend off to go to one of my network marketing events. Well, the plumbing company I was working for at the time wasn't going to give me that day off. So I did what anybody else would do and quit. And because they wouldn't give me the day off. And so I quit my job, didn't really have any plan to start High Five. And it wasn't until I went and applied at other plumbing companies that I realized I had it really good where I was at. Where I left was really treating me good. And there wasn't really anybody out there offering better than what I had. So I was like, okay, well, then I'm going to create something better. Right. But my focus was never on High Five when I first started it, because when I first started High Five, I was actually making money in network marketing. So like that was still my focus. So High Five was just kind of to make ends meet until I started to make more money in multi-level marketing. And around 2015 is finally when I stopped doing multi-level marketing and put all my energy towards building the plumbing company. But the reason why we do the branding the way we do and the team building the way we do is a lot of because of what I learned in multi-level marketing. And because that's some of the best recruiting and sales training you'll ever get. And so that's kind of how we got to where we're at now. High Five was started by once I couldn't get a job anywhere that was going to offer me as much as the last place was. I sat down with my wife and said, well, let's just start our own thing and see what we could do. Started to spitball some names back and forth. And my wife said one, and I said, oh man, that's a good name, High Five. Man, and we high-fived, and that was it. We changed it. We decided High Five was going to be the name at that point. And it's just been, ever since, man, it's just been a fun ride. The brand has helped us grow. High Five's pretty easy for people to comprehend and know what it is and the point of it. And it's a positive way that we end every call. We take a selfie high-fiving every customer at the end of every call. So really just cool little thing that we were able to create because somebody wouldn't give me a day off.
Not only that, but you got a chance to do that with your wife, which is pretty substantial. You know, that's a big part of some of the conversations that we have or have had is, what's your support system? So you talked about it being, kind of learning from your dad. Is he pretty supportive of like this whole venture and that sort of thing?
I mean, my dad's always been supportive of me. But the truth of the matter is my dad ran a drastically different style of business than I would ever want to run. Right. Okay. His was in a small rural area where like you had to do the work. You were never going to grow to a big, massive company. Right. It was never in his radar. And so he was very supportive, but it was such a different scale of plumbing company that he could only be supportive. But like you said, working with my wife has been a huge thing, right? Like that's been the biggest supportive thing. When you have somebody in your corner who's always telling you that, yeah, you can do that. Yeah, that's going to work. Yeah. When you got somebody there who's doing that, and that's been what my wife's been, right? Like my wife's been the key behind a lot of the cool things you see in High Five has been her creative mind. And so, yeah, she's been the biggest support system there's been.
I love that so much. What did those, man, that is really cool. What were the early days like? So let's take us through year 1, year 2. Like, was it just you? Like, how fast did you figure out that delegation was going to be key?
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, when we first started, we were a new construction remodel company. So when we started in 2012, we did only new construction and remodel. And the first 2 years, it was just me, right? I would go do the work 1 week, and then the next week I wouldn't have any work because I'd have to be doing all the estimates. And it was just like estimates 1 week, work the next week, right? And the first 2 years, I did not run the business the way I would recommend people doing it, right? I didn't have a plan. I came in just winging it. I didn't try to figure out if I was priced right. I just kind of was just winging it. And so the first 2 years were tough, right? I struggled. I mean, I would go and I would collect the check from this job and I'd have to go deposit it so I could put gas in my truck to get to the next job, right? And it was stressful more than anything. And it wasn't until I landed a job that paid me per unit. And now when you're getting paid per unit, I can knock out a lot of units in a day. And so, I was able to go myself and knock out this unit. I was able to do 12, 13, 14 units a day, which then gave me capital, gave me some money to mess with. And then once I started to recruit team, it was all just, it started to snowball from there, right? And so I've been out of the truck and out of the field since 2017. I haven't ran really plumbing calls or plumbing work since 2017.
No, I bet that feels good, huh?
My body feels better than I think if I was plumbing all those years. But
you can get up a little easier in the morning.
I definitely have less hair, I think, than if I would have been a technician.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
What do you feel like is like? Because I kind of, and correct me if I'm wrong, but plumbing kind of falls in line with trade work, right? In a way. What do you feel like is one of the biggest misconceptions of that line of work? Because it probably isn't people's first go-to. And I think they're making a wrong decision because it's so, one, lucrative. Two, you learn valuable skills that, I find myself, and I'm going to take this maybe down a comical route. I find myself on YouTube, probably like most, and I watch a lot of plumbing, a lot of kind of overhaul videos and that sort of thing from a plumbing aspect, just because it's fascinating to see how the work happens and the intricate ways that you guys are able to bend pipe and revamp, faucet, whatever it is. It's way more intricate than that. And maybe you can dive us down that. What do you feel like is a big misconception about the trade? And I feel like people are starting to loop back around and really understand how it can benefit them from a career point.
Yeah, I think, there's a couple different answers to that. I think the first one is naturally, plumbing's always been the dirty trade, right? Like, they mess with the dirty stuff and they're the ones messing in the sewer lines and glues and solvents and stuff like that. But in all reality, you're only messing in those maybe 30-40% of the jobs that you're going into, right? So most of your jobs are pretty clean jobs. That's the first misconception, is that like it's a clean job, it's dirty, right? I don't want to mess with dirty stuff. I think the next one, it goes back to with plumbing, there's not a lot of forgiveness in plumbing work. And what I mean by that is with electrical, if you need to move a light, it's pretty easy to just move a light. You run the wire. But like with drain work and venting, sometimes like you don't have a lot of forgiveness. You have to be perfect. You have to be right on. And so a lot of people tend to go the other trades in the beginning because of that, right? Because of the fact that, man, when you mess up on where you put a plumbing fixture, it's quite the to-do to move it. Where if you put a light fixture in the wrong spot or a heat vent, it's not near the amount of work to get it to go to the right spot. And so I think those are the main two things. But the one thing I would say with plumbing, and plumbing is never, I've been in the plumbing industry my entire life, right? I've only worked out of the plumbing industry for 4 weeks of my life. I worked for 2 weeks at Target and 2 weeks at Abercrombie and Fitch, and neither one of those went very well. But I've only been out of work 2 days of my life where I haven't had a job. And it's because plumbing is just not a seasonal profession, right? Like now that I've started HVAC and electrical, HVAC is very seasonal, right? So if you're choosing to go into the HVAC industry, then just know there's going to be 3, 6, 5 months out of the year that you may not make a ton of money. So you got to be able to plan. You got to have that. And what I found with electrical is it seems like a lot of people are willing to wait, right? Like if this light doesn't turn on or off, then they're cool. They'll just buy a lamp for the corner. Where plumbing doesn't have that. Like if my shower's leaking or if I have a leak, people tend to take that a little bit more as a wasteful type of thing or a damage causing thing, where if you're not causing sparks, then sometimes electrical can be weighted on. And with HVAC, especially in Colorado, from September to October, you're not using a heater or an AC. You're it's perfect temperature. So that's why I advocate for plumbing a lot, because the consistency of you'll never have to worry about the seasonal as much as you do in HVAC. And with plumbing, your demand with plumbing seems to be a little bit more, where in HVAC it seems to be a little bit more convenience. People want cooler, newer things, not so much because they have to get it fixed.
Yeah,
no, that makes a lot of sense. I think over the last few years, I've really liked how a lot more spotlight's been on trades. I've always been a fan of the trades. I've always been a proponent of everybody. Like if you don't know what to do, get into a trade, like immediately, right? As fast as possible. So I like the lights that's been shining on there. There's a lot of like YouTube channels that are on this as well. And so I was able to last like 6 years. It's been really shining a light on the trades and not even for the money aspect but it's about keeping something going because it's absolutely needed.
Yeah.
Right. And then the amount of retirement that's happening over the next, 5 years is going to be astronomical. And there's going to be a major hole in the trades as well. Right. And to be completely honest, it's probably across all industries. But I think the trades is probably the most important because at the end of the day, this is everyday stuff that we're dealing with. Like if you're a homeowner, you're dealing with this stuff all the time. Right. And it's just it's a really cool way just to be able to like understand what the trades are, right? What type of trades are out there, and then like how an 18-year-old, in Illinois can have job security.
Right. Yeah, no, I would agree with you. I would say that when I noticed the biggest shift in the spotlight on the trades was after COVID, right? Because during COVID, there's a lot of businesses that shut down and the trades were not one of them. So we were still operating. And so that you saw a lot of people from the health industry switch over, a lot of people from the retail industry switch over, a lot of people from the legal industry switch over to the trades because we just kept working, right? There was not really any pause in what we did. And so I do believe that the last 5 years has really drawn a big spotlight to it. And like you said, the retirement rate, depending on which study you read, it's going to be anywhere from 25 to 45% of everybody who's in the trades right now will be retired in the next 5 to 7 years. And so it's like, if that really does happen, there's going to be a massive supply and demand problem. And anybody who's in the industry and established, it's going to be very lucrative for them. And anybody who wants to get into it is going to have a really good chance. But that's why we keep telling people, get in it now. And get yourself established and become an established person, a professional of your trade, because it is going to take a couple years. We have a documented apprentice program that it takes about 20 to 24 months for you to get your first level of license. But now we can take somebody who has zero knowledge, and in 24 months they have their first plumbing license. And so it's really able to get people into something that's going to turn into a career that's not going anywhere anytime soon.
That's major, because that was gonna be one of my next questions, which is how, especially with High Five, how big is community for your company and for what you guys do? Because it's such, like you said, supply and demand. And Michael, like you're talking about shining light on trade work, is such a valuable trade. It's just like you said, it's not as easy as moving a light fixture. How big of a part is the community in the growth of what you've seen, and how receptive have they been to your growth in terms of the level of skill that you guys bring to the table?
Yeah. So, I think one of the keys that has allowed High Five to grow has been that we create a lot of our own people, right? So we do have a documented apprentice program where we can bring somebody in, and within like 20 months, they'll have their plumbing license, their first level. And now they'll be able to run about 75% of all plumbing calls that come into my business at that point. We've really just wanted to make it to where we can create our own people. We don't have to rely on recruiting people or trying to get people to come and join us, right? This allows us to build people the way we want now, right? And now they understand our vision and our mission. So like I told you guys, our mission was to impact our team first. The second thing we have to impact is our client, right? And so if you don't have good team, then your clients are not going to be able to get impacted, right? So our team does a great job of spreading the mission with our clients. And then we also have what we call our High Five Cares program. So every month we pick a different nonprofit and we spotlight them. We go and volunteer as a team at their facility. We write blogs about them. We do video interviews with them. We talk about them in every single client's house. We hand out a marketing brochure for that nonprofit. We started this back in 2018. We've now given back over $100,000 since the start of the program. And it's because our ultimate goal was to make a difference in the community. Right. Yeah. And so what that's done is just shine a spotlight on High Five that shows that we're more than just about fixing your plumbing. right? If you come to work at High Five, you're going to become a professional at your job, and you're going to be able to go truly make a difference in your community by helping our clients, because we do give backs every month. We try to get everybody involved in the community, because we want people to know what we're doing. We want people on our side. Right? We want people to be a part of our mission and what we're doing. And so community is the biggest part. If people don't know what you're doing, it's really hard for them to help you.
That is an understatement. that is huge, right? And I think it's a misconception that people don't understand well, is how a business is not just there to provide, right? It's there to actually have a place in the community and do something for the community, whatever that looks like, right? For you guys, it's a nonprofit. For another company, it could be, it could be something else, right? And so I think at the end of the day, right, being able to have a foothold in the community and doing the work and getting people and everybody to know who you are is not just something that willy-nilly can be done. It actually takes effort, right? It takes an active effort to go out and do it. It doesn't just happen on its own, right? There's a whole industry for this, like cause marketing, right? There's a whole industry for this. And so at the end of the day, it's effort, like going out there, getting it done, and making that difference is absolutely huge. And so $100,000 is fantastic. That is major impact in the community, right? And people are noticing it, and you guys are seeing the fruits of that too.
Yeah, once again, it's awesome.
So I come from the safety line of work, and still what I do as well, from my 9 to 5. And when I think about my origins in safety, specifically in the oil field, and people ask me where I am now, hey, what was that process? How do I get to where you're at? I don't have as fancy of it, or not, I don't want to say fancy, but as creative of a solution as what you guys have for the people that are coming on board to work within High Five, because, mine was, hey, well, are you willing to get thrown to the wolves? Because that's very much how it was for me. Well, yep. I guess, yeah, you build a sense of, confidence and learning what to do because of doing a whole bunch of doing what you probably shouldn't be doing, etc. Right. And so, but I wish that I had as creative of a solution for them as, hey, here's a company, I'll get you plugged in. They have a program, which I'm in the transportation business in terms of safety now. And so there are some companies out there that do, hey, here's how we'll coach you or guide you through the CDL process, but which is super expensive at this point now too. But that's just so cool. Not just what you guys are doing for the community from an aspect of giving back, nonprofit, but also that the people of Colorado, what's the city specifically?
It's Denver, right? Denver Metro.
Denver have this opportunity to go to some place that's teaching something that is like you're saying, at some point kind of going to fall out because people are going to start retiring, etc. But you get this encouragement and confidence when you go through the door that, hey, they're going to take me from knowing nothing to all of a sudden having licenses, having knowledge, having support, having just all of these resources around you. For me, coming from a guy who just got thrown out there, that's encouraging. And I can only imagine for, the next generation that's coming up that have so many options, but I can imagine that's probably daunting too. To have so many options makes it really difficult versus having few and just deciding between 2 or 3 or 4. And so I think that's going to start stirring the pot of the next generation, where I think we've all kind of had a little bit of questions of, hey, where are we heading as a, right. As a country and as a business conglomerate as a whole, right? And so That's just really cool to hear that you guys have that option available.
That is. How important is faith in your business?
It's one of our vital values. So we have 5 vital values, and one of them is having faith. And what we say is, you have to have faith that the work you put in today will give you an outcome. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but with faith eventually. So you got to have faith. Like if you don't have faith, then what are you really, people say, oh, I'm not a really faithful person. But when you think about it, like when you get in your car in the morning to drive to work, you have faith that those people at the stoplight are going to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You have faith that when I take off, this person's not going to hit me. So we operate more off of faith than you think. It's just nobody actually breaks it down to how much faith you actually have to live with day to day. But yeah, we massively, like, you just have to have faith that you're doing the things you're supposed to do to get the outcome that you want. And if you didn't get it today, then do it again tomorrow and hope that you get the outcome the next day.
I love that. We've had the opportunity to talk about what it looks like as having a business, in a corporate type of world, and we've had a few companies that have this, right? And there's mixed emotions on this, and so we have one side that says, hey, our business is like a family, right? We're all here for each other. But on the other side, we have, no, we're not a family, we're a team, and you have to perform to get on the team, right? Where do you fall on that?
I would 100%, if I had to go one or the other, we're probably a family-oriented team. Because we're performance based, right? Like that if you're not performing, there's going to be conversations. But because of our culture, because of our brand, it does feel like a family, right? Like we have 75 people, but we get everybody together at least once a month. So it's not like there's not people don't know each other. It's very much a family feel, but like we're baseball oriented here. Our technicians actually wear baseball jerseys in the field, and all of our business cards are actually baseball cards, right? So here's my business card.
That's really cool.
So we're a team, right? Like, so if you want to be on the high five team, then you're going to have to follow the team rules, right? Like it's no different, and we can't have conduct detrimental to the team, right? Absolutely. Like that's something we can't have. And so yes, we're very team oriented, but we make sure that you don't feel like you're just getting sat on the bench if you're not a key performer, right?
Man, that's awesome. That's really cool. And I asked that to say, I've thought a lot about, and even in my own businesses, right, what heaven looks like in business, right? And I think that it can be very easy to go, you know what, like, looks like an all-out revival in the boardroom, but I don't think that's not really how it is, right? It's it can very much be hearts being mended, people getting reconnected back to their families, or it could be people being healed within the business, or one technician has cancer and all of a sudden he wakes up the next day and he doesn't anymore. Right. Yep. And I think it's a really cool way to look at that, to say, I think when you have this overarching of like God-led business or Christian-led business, right? People tend to think, well, what does that look like? Like I don't want church and business. Like that's weird. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's really weird. Like it doesn't look like that. And so, within your business and with one of those vitals, being having faith, how have you seen that play out in your business?
So that's one of them conversations, right? That like if you bring up this conversation at a table of 20 business owners, you're gonna get stuff all over the place, right? So I believe that you should build it the way you want your business to be. And I've always wanted people to know me as a person, and I'm a faithful person. I'm a Christian. So I invite our team to Easter church with us. We invite them to Christmas church. And if they don't want to come, they can say, no, thank you. They can show up if they'd like. And that's what I love about, honestly, being able to operate a business in America, is the fact that you could choose to not like me and say, yes, you want to come, or you can, it's up to you. But I'm going to be honest with the type of person I am. But being a Christian business owner is one of the hardest things, right? Because of the second chances and reviving people, and a lot of those are tugs at the heart a little bit as a business owner when you operate off of faith, right? So I've always just been very open with it. We've never shied away from it. It was never something that we felt like we were going to hide. So as we've grown, it's just been known that this is how the owners are. And it's very open. So when people come to work here, it's very known. It's not like it's hidden. So it makes it easy. Like if they're going to join the team, they know what they're stepping into before it's not like it's a surprise when they get here.
I love that. That's really cool. I think a lot of people can be like, oh wait, hold up. I didn't know those were your values. Like, hold on. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I align with that. Well, you don't have to, right? You don't have to align with it, right? But this is, this is the constraints of the business, and this is what we abide by, and this is what we do. And so the coolest saying here is, you have a right to work here, or you have a right not to work here. Right. It is absolutely your choice. You can figure it out what you want to do. I'm okay with either.
Yep. And the great thing about Denver is, man, you could probably go half a mile down the street and find a different company that maybe operates differently that will match with you, right? And that's where we don't operate with any kind of fear, right? Like I do believe that the people who come to High Five are going to be meant to be here. And if you don't think it's a great fit and you would like to interview somewhere else, it's perfectly fine. And because we have a good apprentice program that is creating our own plumbers and our own HVAC and our own electricians, we can be pretty picky, right? Like if you apply here and you're not in our apprentice program, it's kind of like it's only got to be a really good fit for us to do it.
Yeah. I think for me, even in my own business, like I would rather bring in somebody more green than somebody that has 10, 15 years and is set in their ways, right? Because first and foremost, set in your ways is very expensive. I'd rather not pay for setting your ways. Right. And so it's bringing somebody green and being able to train them the way you think they should be, the proper way. Because what I have found is hiring people that have that 10 to 15 years, it's really hard to train out what they've always been doing, right? And tell them, hey, this is actually the way that we should be doing it, and this is the way that we do it. And most of the time, the people that I've hired have ended up going elsewhere for that, unless you're like, because I'm in like data security, data engineering, compliance. And so for mine, like we do need some that are very experienced to be able to lead projects. Like I don't need somebody green and then going on the call because you don't know what you're doing. Right. So we have people that can lead it, but I want somebody green that can go, hey, let's bring you up to speed the way that we feel like you can be, and then let you go lead a project after a year or so. And that's what I've seen the most success with as well. And so and I think that's the way to do it, to be completely honest, is bringing somebody green and showing them the way. And it does two things, right? You be able to get into the community, be able to build the community the way that you feel like it should be built. And then at the end of the day, how I always says, hey, look, like if we train you well enough that at some point you go, I want to go somewhere else, and you're able to go land your dream job because of what you learned, we did our job.
Exactly. That's it. And that's so funny. Like we do vision boards here at High Five, right? Like everybody who comes to work here at High Five, they create a vision board. And a lot of guys on their vision boards, they put like in 5 years, they want to own a plumbing company, and they're kind of shy about it. And but the truth is like, then for the next 5 years, pay attention, right? Like if that's one of your goals, then for the next 5 years, pay attention and ask questions. So then that way in 5 years, you can have the confidence to say, I believe I can go do that. And if you do and you go out, then I believe that we helped you, because once again, I believe that my goal as a business owner is not to make you stay here for your entire life. My goal is to advance your life. My goal is to make your life better. And if your life better is not at my company, then that's your life path, right? So I really don't look at it as like, I don't look at my employees as I'm trying to figure out how to get them to stay here forever. I just want them to advance their life in the direction they want. And I know that if I can help them do that, then usually they stay around because they're moving their life in the direction they want.
I feel like, glory to God, that's a testament and a differentiator between companies, really, honestly, and talking about faith in business, heaven in business. I feel like that's a key component towards the aspect of retention versus being the proper type of stepping stone for someone's career. Because they may not even, like I said earlier, with options, they may not even know if that's really what they want to do. They write on your vision board, 5 years, I want to be this, but really it could be something in electrical or whatever it is. And so, but to really not gatekeep information, but go, hey, I'm a resource, and learn as much as you can. And whatever your next opportunity is not just a showcase of professionalism, but it's a showcase of having faith and being a spirit-filled individual. I really think that, and it might be a conflict of interest for people who are listening to this, but we're bold in our faith, both myself and Michael, and that's I feel like that's a key component. I was going to ask specifically for the community of Denver. You said you could go down the road and find another company that does it differently. How saturated is the business of HVAC and plumbing and heating and all of that within Denver? I would imagine it's substantial considering the weather and some of the challenges that you guys face because of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think last time I checked, it was about probably a year ago. I think there was 1,800 registered contractors in the Denver metro area. So there was 1,800 companies that could legally go do work that were registered to do it in the Denver metro area. And so very saturated. We have some of the biggest companies in the country in our market. But all I look at that for is more growth for me, right? Because if they were able to do it, then that means that I could either do it or I can take some of it from them.
Sure.
Right. And so very saturated market. And once again, that's why I believe that you have to be able to empower people. You have to be able to build people up, because when you're in a saturated market, you'll just pass technicians back and forth over and over and over. Like he'll go here for 2 years, here for 2 years, here for 2 years, then back to you. Right. And so you have to start to build people. You have to start to show that you're willing to make them better. It's not just to come and make me money, right? No, don't come and that's how I think it felt for a while in the trades, right? It felt like we were just here to make revenue for you. There was not really any value thrown back towards me. It was just to make revenue for the company. And that's when you started to see that merry-go-round of jumping companies to where now the newer generations of people want to be a part of something, right? They they want to be a part of a movement, something that they see is changing, making a difference. It's not always about the revenue and the money they're getting paid, right? And that's what we've tried to do with High Five, is make it to where you can come in and we're making a difference, right? We're changing the community, we're changing people's lives by creating careers for them. So we really try to do that.
That is so. I love what you said there, and so the question I have is, with the kind of like this shift in the market and shift in generation, and you have this new generation coming up now. What does have you? What is the kind of the age group that you're seeing coming in through your apprentice programs?
So we partner with a lot of places here in the city, right? So we partner with a lot of the local high schools. One of my managers is actually going into a high school to interview some potential interns. So we do a lot of intern programs with schools. But to tell you the truth, like I really can't even give you an honest answer, because since COVID, the age range of apprentices has just grown drastically to where, I would say we have some apprentices coming in up as old as 32 at this point.
Oh, wow.
And then we have some as young as just graduated high school. But majority of what we look for is right out of high school. Kids looking to come in. We believe that we can show them a structure. We can show them a path to success, to try to help them get into the right path right away. So we do focus heavily on high schools, going and doing assemblies at high schools, really trying to focus on right out of high school, trying to mold young men and young women into adults, right? It's really what we try to do.
Yeah, that's good. And so, I want to switch a little bit with the roots of the plumbing company, kind of where you guys are today, and the systems and processes you've had to put into place. How have they evolved from, let's go, year one to now, and how important was it to you that they did evolve? Because I think that's a key component to a great leader, is understanding when processes and need to evolve and where they need to be stuck.
Yeah. So processes were not a big part of my business for the first 5 years. From 2012 to 2017, it was a lot of fires. It was a lot of answering questions. It was a lot of just dealing with it as it came in. It wasn't until 2018 that I started to work with a business coach by the name of Kristen Deese. She's still out there coaching. And she really helped me understand the power of a system and the power of a process and how it can actually create freedom for you as an entrepreneur. And so I dove heavy into systems in 2018, and we weren't very big at that point. So it was pretty easy, right? I was able to get my entire business systematized. And then what I did is, as I grew, I just had my team maintain the system. Right. So whenever a new CSR would start, after they worked with us for 6 months, we would have them go review all the systems and recommend any edits. Right. The same thing with dispatchers, the same thing with CSRs. And so we're on a continuous rotation of our own team reviewing and editing the systems to where our management no longer has to do it. It's maintained by our team at this point. But the truth is like, if I wouldn't have had a coach, once again, like if I wouldn't have had somebody to tell me how much freedom that would create you, I don't know if I would have ever done it. But that's why my biggest key I tell people is like, you got to ask for help. Don't try to be the know-it-all. Don't try to have the biggest ego. Like the sooner you can find somebody to help you, the easier it's going to be to grow to where you want or to get to where you want. Because once I finally put down the ego and said, you know what, I'm going to just start asking for help, it was like a speedway to where the goals I wanted. So don't be afraid to ask for help from people that you admire and want to learn from.
It seems to be a common similarity between a lot of different founders, and which is great and beneficial for our audience that have seen several episodes with others that have said the same thing, and so to have that reinforcement is obviously good for the audience. Going through fires, like you mentioned, early days questions and kind of going through the process of what it's like to start a company, which is not, Michael and I were just talking about that on one of our last episodes. It's not easy. I think Michael, and you're correct me if I'm wrong, one of his references was, it's like assembling a plane that's broken apart on the way down and putting it back together in the sky. And so now that you've been through that, now that you have everything's, in a system basically, and the ecosystem can kind of work on its own, probably without you being super involved. And I could be wrong there. What do you do as an entrepreneur, as a founder, as a business owner, a proper CEO? What do you do on your downtime? How do you disconnect from the workplace and just get back and into your realm of whatever hobby it might be?
Yeah. So right now, I have a 20-year-old daughter who's going to be expecting her first child in a month. So I'll be a grandpa in a month. Awesome. So
congratulations.
So that's cool. Yes, thank you. So that's been a lot of our time lately. And then I do have a 17-year-old son who's very athletic in all the sports. So I take huge pride in not missing any of my kids' stuff. So if I'm not working at High Five, a lot of the times I'm making sure that they're living their best life they can. And so that's a lot of what I do. But aside from that, like some of the funny things about me, I'm a huge Lego fan. Like I'll sit down and put Legos together for hours. So if I don't have anything to do, you'll probably find me sitting at my desk at home putting a Lego together. And so I just the key is to be able to find those ways to just disconnect for a while. But the truth is like if you run a business you like running, then a lot of the times you don't feel like you need to disconnect, right? I can honestly say over the last 7 years of running this business, I've enjoyed it. So there hasn't been a lot of pain and stuff that I've wished went differently because, like I said, I enjoy it. It's something I like. I enjoy doing, and when you find that, it's just fun, right? You don't want to stop because it's fun and it's enjoyable. But me and my wife have been at it for since 2012. We've brought a lot of people on now that have allowed us to now start to kind of live a little bit more of a hands off of the day to day. And now now I'm excited because this will be the first time that I can actually put my thought and energy towards vision, towards growth, towards what we could do for making it better for our team and for our community, and really not have to put too much energy into the day-to-day operations, knowing that we're going to be given that high five experience day in and day out, regardless if I'm there or not.
It's really cool. Awesome. not to cut you off, Michael, but that's really cool to see as a CEO that your thought process is revolved around there, because I think a lot of times, with success and with growth comes this secondary disconnect with CEOs that tends to lead towards them just kind of going and hanging out with that type of caliber of person. And then it kind of falls, their employees kind of fall a little short on that list, because ecosystem works and retention really as much as it is important, somebody else is going to walk through the door for a job. Let's just be honest. There's so many people on the planet and in America alone, that people are going to come through the door, but to see that thought process and excitement. And maybe I wanted to ask that too. Maybe there's a difference or differentiator between an entrepreneur that's trying to create something that's brand new, right, on the market, something that's never been made before, versus you guys took a trade and made it better. Is kind of what it sounds like. You really threw a lot of enjoyment into what you guys do, and that obviously has spread within the community and made that a better option and better solution for the services that you guys offer. And then you have the other side of that where it's like somebody trying to create a brand new app for something that's never been done before, and all the challenges that come from that. People are typically trying to exit and they're trying to run away from it as soon as possible because it's just a daunting experience. And so that's cool to see the different side of that. We haven't had too many conversations where we've got to see that side where it's like, hey, I really enjoy doing this. This is really, really fun. And I'm good at it. And it allows me the opportunity to kind of pour back into people. And I would imagine your employees are thankful for that too.
Yeah, no, we do believe we have a great culture, right? Most owners are going to say that. But we believe the proof's in the pudding. And we do believe that we show what we say, right? And so we believe we have a great culture. Like I said, we people do want to be a part of the High Five team. And that's part of why I believe our HVAC and our electrical did do well, because once we started saying, hey, we're doing HVAC and electrical, we started to get some of the best technicians in the city wanting to come and join us. It's almost like they were waiting for us to start those divisions. And the second we started those divisions, they wanted to jump ship to come to our team, right? And the cool. only way you can do that is by having a good reputation in the community, having a good reputation in the industry that you take care of your people. Because other than that, you struggle starting new things, right? Like the new apps, you don't have anybody you could lean on. Right? Because you're creating a new app. There's nobody else that has done it. And so the good thing about the trades is there's a lot of other people who've done what I've done before I did. So it's just about matter of having the courage to reach out to those people to make sure that you're doing it in a way that you could pay some less dumb tax, right? Like I always say that, like the more help you ask for, the less dumb tax you're going to pay. We're all going to pay it. It's just a great term. Depending on how high that meter is at the end of your life, it depends on how much help you ask for. So,
man,
interesting.
That's huge. I want to shift gears just a little bit here. Technology is major, right? AI is the biggest thing right now, and I think it's becoming a little bit more level set. I think the buzz is kind of wearing off a little bit. How are you guys implementing it, and what do you guys see as the best use case right now?
I mean, I think for High Five, for our situation, the better question would be, how are we not using it? We use it in most aspects. We use AI dispatching. Right. So AI sets our board for us for the day to where it's maximizing average ticket, drive time, conversion rate, job type, and sending it to the best technician possible. We're using AI for response to reviews. We're using AI for response to leads. We're using AI to record our technicians in the home, so that way we can make sure that they're hitting our 10-point process in every single home. So I'm a firm believer that if you're fearful of AI, you're going to get passed up. You have to want to learn it and figure out how it's only going to make your company better, because it's only given us information to help us make our people better. So I'm a huge component of technology. We've always wanted to be front of the line, front of the pack when it comes to technology. And it's to the point now where we have a lot of the up and coming technology platforms coming out. They're calling us to try to be the beta, right? Because they know that we're cool with giving some technology a chance. So that's not typical in our industry. But we're all for it. Like, we're like, man, if it's going to help us be more efficient, make a better experience for our team and our clients, then let's give it a go.
That's awesome, right? So first is kudos to you for even implementing all of that. That's absolutely insane and really cool. Because we've had technology companies on our podcast, and they're like barely dipping their toes in, right? And so it's to be able to be that deep into it. So my question to you is this: with all that in there, how are you utilizing that data that's coming through? Is this something that is part of your daily stand-up meetings or your executive team, or what does that look like for you guys?
Yeah. So most of the AI information is mostly useful for my management team, right? That's the key information. Now, all team members have access to it, right? So, for example, the software we use inside the homes is called Rilla Voice. We record inside the customer's home to make sure we're hitting all the stops we want along the customer experience. As soon as that customer completes that job in our software, it sends them a breakdown of what they could have done better on that job.
Wow.
And so then what we've noticed is the technicians that are actually now going into that report and viewing it, their numbers are skyrocketing, right? So we've found that we use it drastically for our management, right? Our management uses it to create trainings. What do we need to be training on? What do we need to be doing better on? But when it comes to individual team members, the ones that believe in it and use it as a tool to get better, it's working and getting them better. The ones that think it's just because it's something that's cool and new, they use it. We get the information. It's not moving the needle in their careers too much. But the truth is the cool thing about this AI is, like you said, everybody wants to do it and wants to use it. But if you're not going to use the information, then it's just a waste of money.
Absolutely.
And so, like, before we sign up with anything, we want to know what part of the company is this going to move the needle in, right? And if we can't logistically come up with something that's going to move the needle, like having this information is going to allow us to make this better, this better, this better, then we don't go with that AI. But I mean, most AI things, they're only going to give you information that's going to be vital. Like, so for example, the in the home, it gives us response rate, like how fast you're responding to a customer. It gives us how many times a conversation went back and forth per minute. It gives us how long their longest dialogue was. So how long they talked all in one time. Like, that's stuff that you don't get when you ride along as a human, right? And then even if I do ride along with a technician and I say, hey man, I think you were responding too fast and I think you were talking too much. Now they just think you don't like them and that you're just calling them out. But when it's an AI robot, they don't argue. They just say, dang, I might have been responding too fast, or dang, I might have talked too long. So it's been a massive tool.
At the end of the day, data talks.
Yep.
Right. Data tells you the story that everybody needs to know, and it outputs it in a way that is, like you said, it needs to move the needle. And that is key, right? Because as we're talking to a lot of the businesses right now and a lot of the entrepreneurs on our podcast, we've been asking the same questions. Like, what are you doing? How are you utilizing it? Right. And I think 3-4 years ago, like when ChatGPT came out, right, to about 2022, it was like, let's throw everything against the wall and see what works. Now it's very use case, right? What's the business use case? How can we implement it to move something? Because we're not just going to buy anymore, right? And I think a lot of people got stuck in that and then had this like super large CapEx cost, and they're like, oh wait, hold on, we can't be doing that, right? Like our margin money is not our mistake money, and our mistake money is starting to dwindle a little bit. And so now it's very business use case driven that we have seen across the board.
Yeah, and I would say with AI, the key is evaluate the data quickly, right? Because we've tried a lot of AI things that we'll try for 30 days and then say, wait a minute, this isn't working with how we operate. Let's step away from that. Like, you can't try to like you got to kind of have a clear on what you're wanting to get from that software, because it is expensive to just give it a go, right? And so, like I said, I believe that it's only going to continue to get more and more useful in our industry. And we're excited for it, right? It seems like even one way we're using AI that a lot of people like, we record all of our meetings, right? So we have a management meeting, we'll record it, and then we'll upload that recording to ChatGPT and ask them to give us a meeting breakdown with to-dos from all the managers. And it'll take all the different voices from the recording, and then it'll break it down into a breakdown of the meeting. And so like,
it's major.
We don't even have people taking notes anymore. It just gives you a breakdown of the meeting.
That's good. I have a question for you though. So I'm a data security guy, right? And this is my business as well. When you guys are uploading, do you guys have your own instance of ChatGPT where you guys upload that so you don't feed the model with meeting data?
I mean, so once again, it's about what meeting data you want to go into it, right? So most of the time, our meeting data, we don't feel like is something that we're worried about the monster, getting some more data.
Right, makes sense.
And so for the most part, we'll edit out anything in the audio that we don't feel we need to feed it, that isn't going to help to moving the needle. And we'll just cut that out of the audio. But
That's perfect.
For the most part, it's usually pretty easy to just upload the whole thing.
Yeah. That's awesome. Man, this has been extremely beneficial. I have 3 questions for you.
Okay.
And so first one is, we're all in winter and Texas is about to shut down because we are about to. Realistically, all the toilet paper is going to be gone tomorrow. But hey, what are some practical steps for a homeowner to take at this time of year? Like, what do they need to do?
I mean, the biggest thing as a homeowner right now is know how to shut off your water. Like confidently know how to shut your water off to your house. That's just good knowledge to have. Confidently know how to shut your gas off to your home. And then confidently have a provider that you're confident that's going to treat you right, do you right. That way you don't have to go through all the guessing games, right? So even if you don't have a problem now, it's good to start to find somebody, but confidently have the ability to take the emergency out of your situation. That's one of our biggest things is educating our customers to eliminate their emergency.
That's awesome. Okay. Other 2 questions are, so we have 2 audiences, right? So one audience is doing the 9 to 5, or they started something, they haven't gone all in yet, but they're wanting to, and they don't know how to. So one is, how does what advice could you tell them that gives them what they need to kind of push them into what they're supposed to be doing? And then the next one is, we have the entrepreneur who is seasoned. They're in this, they're doing 10, 20 million a year, 30 million a year, and they're just they kind of feel stuck and they don't even know where to go. And so what is your advice to that entrepreneur?
So it'll kind of reiterate what I said earlier, which is like, if you're just starting, right, and you want to go you're doing some side work here and there, and you have your handful of customers, but you're not ready to dip in, you have to go find somebody who's done what you've done. Like, go find somebody who started a one truck shop and just kind of took 3-4 years before they started their business, and talk to them, right? But you're not going to figure it out just guessing. And so go talk to people. Most people in the trade, what I've realized, want to help people. Right. Yeah. So like, you're always worried that, are they going to tell me? Well, I'm a competitor. Like, that's usually not our biggest worry. Like, that's just not the truth. And so I would say, make sure you ask for help when you're just wanting to get started, because I didn't ask for help. I tried to go off of the knowledge I had, and it was 2 years of very, very painful, almost losing everything because I didn't ask for help. The second I asked for help, things started to change. And then if you're a seasoned entrepreneur, don't ever think that don't fall into the trap of the amateur, right? Don't think you know everything. Don't think because you're $10 million that you know how to get to 20. And if you're 20, don't think you know how to get to 30. There's always somebody who's done what you're trying to do, and confidently be confident to repurpose stuff. Right. Like, I went and visited a ton of shops when I started to grow. And I visited probably 7-8 different plumbing shops because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to get my team more committed, or I didn't know how to get them more bought into my systems. So I had to go make a judgment call and find businesses that I looked up to, and then reach out to those owners and say, hey man, I'm struggling. I need some help. Can you help me? And you got to be vulnerable. You got to be able to put your ego to the side and realize that you don't have the answers and you're going to need help to get to that next level. So once again, both, it doesn't matter. Ask for help. The more people you can get on your side, in your corner, the more resources you're going to have to hit your goals. So ever since I've started High Five, I've always wanted it to be I want as many people in High Five's corner as possible. I want as many people to know the mission, know what we're doing, know why we do things, know how we do things, because if they know those, then they're not going to have any choice but to really have a like for High Five, because there's no reason to hate us when you see how we operate.
Yeah, and the good business that you do as well.
Absolutely. Man, thank you for that. I think that's going to be very beneficial for our audience, and I think we're going to take a lot of that to heart as well. And the similarities that I see with you and the other entrepreneurs that we interview is really the same, right? Is, hey, don't fall in the trap. Like, ask for help, right? Yep. Raise your hand, figure something out. Right? If you can't find somebody to talk to you about it, find a coach, right? Do something. Yep. And so, and I think that's the best lineage that I've seen is across all entrepreneurs is they're not afraid to raise their hand when they need the help.
Yep. And if you are, then you might struggle a little bit. It might be a harder path.
Yeah.
Agreed.
This has been a joy and very informative as well. We've been so blessed just by your presence on here to kind of shed some light on where you come from and the building of your business and kind of some insights for the next person that's maybe stepping into, whether it's your line of trade or just business in general. Here's our famous part of the show where we get a chance to kind of plug where you guys are, social media handles. Give the audience as much as you possibly can. We want them to be able to identify, locate, and promotion of our guests is a huge thing for us.
So High Five is very, very big in all the social platforms. So you can find us on Instagram at High Five Home Fix is our handle on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. We respond to all messages. So if somebody sees this show and they're like, man, I want to talk to Levi, you can truly go to our social medias and say, I need to set up a meeting with Levi, and they'll get you over to me. But we're really active in socials, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. We touch them all. So give us a shout.
Awesome.
That's incredible.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Levi. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me, guys. I appreciate it. Love talking to people who have very similar values and views as I do. So keep killing it. Keep doing what you guys do.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Cool.
God bless.